5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're live. All right. Good morning, everybody. Glad you're here. Hope you can see and hear us both. Glad that everybody's here. I know there's a bunch of people in the chat. Already said good morning. Night Owl, Dana, Ronald, Dons, G Keyman, Mad Hatter. Let's see, Anthony, Sherelle. Who else do we have here? Rune, good morning. Tyler Thomas, good morning. Who? Oh, wow. Tyler's like right here in the video. Brian Field, good morning. So, all right, the stream looks good. So, good morning, Tyler. Thank you for being here today.
Good morning, sir.
Morning. So yeah, I appreciate you being here. I've enjoyed doing these lives and stuff, having other people in here. You're here. You're the third one on. I've had Jeff and Night Owl, and let's see, next week, Dark Arts Lockpicking. He's going to be here. He's in the chat. So good morning, Doubt and David. Hope everybody's had a good week. Tyler, have you done any work this week?
Let's see. Yeah, we had some a big job and that didn't go so well. And then Thursday I got my COVID vaccine, and yesterday I really felt it, but I was still at work. So just worked on some computer stuff, some quotes, stuff like that.
Cool. Yeah, I haven't got mine yet, so we'll see how that works out. But anyway, so for everybody who's here in the chat that doesn't know you, you are a locksmith and you are in Atlanta. And how long have you been doing this?
Let's see, October will be 14 years.
Oh, wow. Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. What got you into it?
I used to, back in the day before lockpicking 101 and all of that stuff, you only had the anarchist cookbook. And the lockpicking portion of that, the CIA lockpicking manual, got me interested. And when I was about 16 or so, I started picking locks, and I said, man, I really want to do this. And went to college, and then had an opportunity to apprentice my sophomore year. Ended up graduating, because I was halfway through, but stuck with the apprenticeship and stayed locksmithing ever since.
Oh, cool. So you've been in it for a while and got started, I think, like a lot of us did, just picking out of curiosity and then moving on from there. So that's pretty cool to see that. I had my first educational material in lockpicking was the MIT guide to lockpicking.
Yeah, I had that one too. That's another one. Yeah.
Yeah. It didn't tell me jack. It's nice to read it, but all nice in these technical theories and everything. But nothing comes is better than just watching somebody do it, I guess.
One of them said, I guess to make tension wrenches, you'd go out and look for street bristles or something from street sweepers.
Yeah.
And I was literally walking the road looking for one. I was like, where are these things?
Well, I hear a lot of people, lots of people actually, who was it just recently? I think it was Charles Current, who does the Lock Sportscast podcast, which if you haven't listened to him, he's pretty good. He's on Apple Podcasts, so it's easy enough to listen to, when you're driving, which is about the only time I have time to listen to stuff. So, but anyway, he was talking about having made picks out of street sweeper bristles. Say that fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the first tools that I actually made were tensioners out of windshield wiper inserts, but they
Yep.
don't put that stuff in there anymore. Like they
Yeah.
don't put the metal in there anymore, so it's not as easy that I've found.
Well, when I would first thinking, the shop I worked at was thinking about getting back into automotive, so I would go to junkyards to practice on, pulling locks, opening doors, and all that stuff. And then I started pulling the windshield wipers. Like, Jesus, this is good stuff for tension wrenches. So I started pulling a bunch of them.
I would go like anytime I'd have to go to like AutoZone or any Advanced Auto, I would look in their trash dumpsters outside and just see if there were any like wiper blades in there or if I'd take the car to get an oil change or something, I'd say, do you have any old wiper blades laying around? But I haven't
It's
done that in a while, but I need to.
it's crazy how perfect they are for it.
Yeah, I mean that's what I have one like pry bar type tensioner, or yeah, one pry bar type tensioner that I keep in my kit that stays in my pocket, and all the rest are wiper inserts. Um, and I think that in the field, the wiper insert tensioners are a little bit more useful than the fancy top of the keyway ones. I've found that anyway. I don't know if you think the same.
But well, you don't feel as bad as if you misplace one or lose one, because you know
Yeah,
you get
yeah.
4 or 5 per wiper blade.
That's very true. Oh, oh Lord. So recently I saw somebody suggest it, and I second the idea. Um, Somebody suggested that you should write a book on Medico, and I think that would be awesome because you know quite a bit about Medico specifically. Um, you talk about it a lot, and any question about Medico, um, and I think I've dabbled in it a little bit. Obviously, I don't know hardly anything. Like I couldn't even identify Medico keyways if I had to.
Me
Uh,
neither.
well, good. I'm glad I'm not alone in that. um, so what really brought you into working around Medico? Um, like with I guess it was obviously where you work, but
Yeah. That was mainly it. Before where I work at now, my specialty was really multi-lock. I've got all their certifications, done tons of stuff with multi-lock, and then when I came to where I'm at now, they were predominantly Medico, and that's what we've been doing. And actually, this week I found out Clyde from Medico and Burge from ITL are going to be coming to our shop in the next few weeks. We're going to be kind of the guinea pigs for ITL. This new M4, it's got an interactive pin. Let's see.
cool.
I use my wife's key. The interactive portion's right here where the slider used to be.
Okay.
So the problem that they were coming into is that if you tighten down on a jaw or a clamp or whatnot, you could potentially deform it so that interactive element doesn't work. I've cut a few on our ITL just to make sure it worked. It worked, but they're worried about that. So they've made a new jaw for the ITL where they're going to kind of block out that portion so that it can move while you clamp it to cut it.
Okay. Cool.
So I guess in a roundabout way, what I was trying to say is that they'll be coming in and testing that out. So that's kind of where we are as far as Medico. They look at us as the guinea pigs.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So your shop does like that amount of volume in Medico, I guess, that you get noticed.
Yeah, and we do IT. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with Medico, the key originators that they sell. I mean, you've got to set the angle, the depth, fore and aft, all that, blah blah blah. So it's 3 motions for one cut. So we had an ITL custom made so that we could put you type in, if it's a 6-pin key, you type in 12 numbers and all that,
Okay.
and you cut it, which makes it a lot faster when you're running 50, 100, 200 keys at a time.
Gotcha.
And when they sent me that sample, I cut one on our machine just to make sure it would work. And I just mimicked the bidding on it, and it worked fine. But they were like, no, don't do that. You could crush that interactive thing. And I said, okay. and then they sent us an email, and they're like, we'll be down there in a few weeks. Just hold off. I said, fine.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, I mean, I all I have is just a good old duplicator back there on the bench.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
No, I mean, I can code cut with space and depth with the best of them, but that's about it. But I know, like on the like the HPC 1200, the Blitz, you have to go in and manually change the settings, and like in that, like on that, you have to cut the straight cuts first, and then go and do like if you had 2 left skew cuts, you change it and do both of those, and then do for the right, do the same thing. That's correct, right? I mean,
yeah, that always scared me too, is because you manually do it and the belts for the motor kind of moves with it, and it's like,
okay, gotcha. Yeah, I'm still waiting for Santa Claus or the birthday fairy to deliver me a Blitz. But yeah. Now I think it was HKS Systems. I don't know if you follow him on YouTube or not. But he did a video just recently. It was just a short video showing a Medico cut on his machine, and I forget the make and model of his machine, but it was one of those where you punch in the numbers, and the key actually got moved, like it would move it each one.
The key did, or the
I believe it was the jaw that moved, like where the jaw was mounted, it moved. I believe I will find that video, but I believe it was HKS Systems on his channel. So
that's pretty cool, because ours, we've got the ITL, so it's actually the blade that moves left, right, whatnot. So the jaw moving, that'd be pretty cool.
I think it was that. I mean, I've slept and had a glass of wine since then. But yes, something, you basically just punched in your code, for your key, and one part, I mean, it moved with each cut, and it was done, just like that, which was pretty cool to me. I mean, I know a machine like that would be out of my budget just getting started up, but
well, the ITL does the same thing, but instead of the jaw moving, it's just the blade. So now, I mean, I can see how 6 in one, half dozen in the other, it would work.
Right. Well, I guess if the jaw moved, there would be less of that worry that you had, about the whole belt moving or slipping a little bit on there or something like that.
Yeah.
Probably less wear on the machine too.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see it. Yeah, send me that. I'd be curious.
I will. When soon as we wrap up, or if somebody out there knows the video I'm talking to, maybe they can put it in the chat. But I'll find it and send it to you. So yeah, you do like all kinds of Medico, and all I do is try to pick them on here. But I do have some other people that don't get in the chat, but they watch my videos, and they'll ask me about it. And probably some folks here in the chat are curious, just aside from the picking part of Medico, just like looking at it from the key control side, how secure is Medico as far as, if that's what you want on your house and you call it Locksmith to come put it on, how easy is it for somebody to copy your key or otherwise access it other than picking?
Well, there's various dealer levels. If you actually, and Jeff and I have gone on eBay and looked around to try to figure out the keyways. We kind of, it's a secret, but we track the keyways. But eBay's out there, and what I've heard from Medico is that they monitor that. They find out who's letting their keyway out there, and if they do, they cut the contract and whatnot. But beyond that, I mean, for example, Biaxial, the distributor's keyway is G3. So anybody that can buy from Annixter, SecLock, whatnot, they would have access to that blank. So there's that. We have, we're an LSC. So for us, for Biaxial, for example, I can say this, I don't worry anymore. It's 2 patents gone, but L3. So we could get that. I guess if you're looking for a Medico dealer, you would be looking for an LSC, because that's exclusive to the point where it's about 8 to 10 dealers now. I don't know how much it'll be for M4. But I would go for that, something like that, as opposed to, something shared with distributors. That's kind of, I wouldn't feel good about that.
Well, if you were to get something that was shared with distributors, and
I'll say that the agreement's supposed to be that if it's not your system, you shouldn't be duplicating that. But that's up to whoever's doing it.
Gotcha.
So you hope they're following the rules, but
that
no guarantee.
that would be interesting to see, to get a key on one of those keyways, and then just go to a couple different locksmiths who do Medico and see if they would duplicate it for you.
Well, they bring it, when they bring it to us, I say no, number one, because it's the right thing, but number two, I don't want to do it. I just don't want to do the work.
So I guess it is a little bit tricky to, like, if you did say duplicate a Medico key, it would be trickier than just duplicating like a Schlage or obviously a Schlage or Quickset or something like that. You don't just plug it in the machine and then turn it on and run it back and forth a few times.
Well, you need access to the blanks first. That's the hardest part. Like I said, with that distributor, if you've got an account with Annixter, SecLock, HL Flake, whatever, you'd be able to get that G3, but we won't do it. I might, if we didn't originate it, or if it's not one of our systems, I'm not touching it. And if you want us to touch it, you'd have to get some sort of authorization or approval from Medico, just simply because, we've got so much business that they've given us, and so many accounts, and we do so much work with them. I'm not trying to step on their feet for $20,000, $30,000, $5,000 even. I just don't care. I don't want to lose that.
Right.
So I'm definitely doing everything by the rules.
Right. Well, and that's good.
It ain't worth it.
Yeah. I mean, that's good. Sort of like my attitude when people ask me to run tag numbers. Yeah. Not supposed to, I don't want to do that because I don't know what they're going to do with it. So
yeah,
same.
Ain't worth losing your privileges.
That's for sure. So, well, that's pretty cool. Now down there, I've talked about it. I've seen Medico in the wild around my area, which is, Charlotte and sort of the greater Charlotte area. But I have not seen multi-lock out in the wild around here. Like, I don't see it. How common is that in your area?
I would say Medico's number one, and then multi-lock's number two, definitely. There's a lot of multi-lock down here.
That's cool, because like I said, around here you just don't see it. And the couple locksmiths I've talked to, they don't do anything with it. Because I've asked them, hey, do you do multi-lock as well? And they just kind of either say, well, what's that? Or no, I've heard of it, but I don't touch it. Now I've not talked to, there's a couple other shops. I think one of them I've talked to you about a couple of them, but I think one of them actually does do multi-lock, but I don't see it in the wild. how easy is that, like, compared to the Medico? If somebody put multi-lock on their house, how easy would that be as far as key control?
Well, I don't know about MT5 because the last time I touched multi-lock was kind of when MT5 first came out. With interactive, it's not as ubiquitous as Medico as far as keyways. You know, 236G was kind of the standard. So if I found somebody that had one of those 236Gs where what was it? The second cut was a Z0, you could get it. So just based off of the limitations, I guess, there's only so many. There's definitely a finite number of keyways available for it.
Gotcha.
You could pull it off. It'd be easier than a Medico, but you would have to find somebody that was a dealer or had access to those keyways. So,
okay. And again, even like if you knew somebody had, like if you knew there were a couple bigger locksmith shops in the area, and you had a multi-lock key and you wanted a copy of it, is that something where you have to have a signature card or authorization or something like you do with
yeah,
Mexico? Okay.
yeah. They're actually, I would say multi-lock's better about that than Medico in that no matter the format, you have to have that card.
Okay.
Even
Is
if
that
it's
just because of the technical way of cutting the keys, or is that just for the key control?
Well, yeah, I would say definitely because of the way you cut it. At least on interactive, the literally the biddings are on the card.
Okay.
With Medico, it's what they call that blind code where you have to reference the key book.
Right.
So yeah, I would say you definitely have to have the card. And then with multi-lock dealers, basically you offer the customer the option of keeping it on file so that they come in, they present their ID, you go to their file, you pull the card, you see what the cuts are, and you're good to go.
Gotcha. Okay. So that might even be, I mean, I guess they're Medico and multi-lock, and I'm thinking more just, for the purposes of people who'd be watching this video, the purposes of putting it on your house, for instance, or small business, shop or something like that. Um, it would probably cost what, about the same for the cylinders, or is one generally more expensive than the other? Or?
They're all pretty much in or around the same amount.
Okay.
Similar price point. I had multi-lock on our house, and we had MT5 when I first bought this house. And then when I worked for a Medico dealer, we switched to M3, and I guess I just did the buy-in. I'm kind of stupid. I should have bought about 4 or 5 deadbolts from my house to, to swap it over. I wasn't thinking though, but yeah, I should have done that. I've got M3 on here now, but I guess I'll get M4.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. I've still just got a Schlage Everest on my house. And the reason why I did that was because Schlage is something I can repin. When I bought my house 2 years ago, that's something I can rekey. And fortunately, I've got people who can, generate keys for me on the Everest. That was my theory at the time, anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe now that I've since I made some personnel changes around the house last year, maybe now's the time to upgrade. Um, but but yeah.
You should have told me. I could have put that on the buy.
Well, now see, it does also come down to the fact, like a few weeks ago, I was out here doing a video and I went to go in the house. I was finished up out here, and normally I, pat my pockets, make sure I've got everything, because I've got a night latch on the little door that goes here between this room and the shop and the other room, which has the big roll up door. And so when I throw that night latch and pull the door shut behind me, it's locked. And of course, I pulled it shut, and out there I went, oh, bleep, 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 and realized I'd left all of my keys in here. And fortunately, though, I had my picks on me, and I was able to pick it to come back in. It is aggravating, though, more than it is difficult. But if
Well,
I had Medico or even multi-lock, I think there would be a lot more language than even Dark Arts could express in one of his lives. So
that would have been. Yeah, I remember one time my wife locked up the house and whatnot, and then came home, and I remembered we've got our backsliding door. And this is kind of embarrassing, but our backsliding door is just a wafer lock.
yeah.
So I had the picks on me. And I was like, I'll go in that way. And I thought, oh man, I've got all these Medico and multi-lock, whatever it was at the time, and you know, it's a 4 wafer lock on the back sliding door you can get in. I gotta do something about that.
Yeah, you know. Well, I mean, that's the one thing that, you know, I don't have any sliding doors like that on my house, but you know, I've got like storm doors, and I think it would be nice to be able to have a decent lock on the storm door, but they don't make them.
No, because they're all so what's the word? Proprietary.
Yeah.
They're all so unique. You can't find anything that could possibly work.
Well, I mean, could you get a I know some storm doors, like you know, the more expensive kind. My mom and dad have one on their house, but it takes the profile cylinder and the little mortise lock. You could get, I mean, they do make multi-lock in a profile cylinder, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah. They make, I mean, every high security brand profile cylinder, because that's over, you know, in Europe, that's popular.
Right.
I mean, they've even got Medico in profile cylinders. And,
oh, really?
You know, yeah. Medico's, I guess, if you want to call it an American brand, even though they're owned by a European company, but yeah.
That would be interesting to see, because I've never seen a profile cylinder for Medico.
Oh yeah, they exist.
Yeah, that would be really, really cool. And if you had a good storm door, I guess that would be, if you wanted to be really secure. But then again, you know, if you've got the storm door shut and locked, and you've got your main door shut and locked as well, who gives a crap about the storm door, you know?
Sure.
But yeah, like the sliding doors, if they could make something for that to retrofit, that would be pretty cool, I think.
Yeah.
Of course, then whoever's trying to get in your house would just smash the glass out of it. But you know,
well, yeah. To add injury to insult, when we moved in this house, I paid some guy to do the that 3M security film, so that somebody, if they were going to smash it with a hammer or whatnot, I mean, I guess they could technically get in, but they were going to have to work for it.
right?
But then again, at the end of the day, you know, somebody can stick in a screwdriver, just torque that wafer lock open if they wanted to. That's what I got the German Shepherd for.
There you go. There you go. That's it. See, my cats would just go and hide. They get scared of me. Like when I put my uniform on in the morning to go to work, there's a couple of them that, you know, especially the orange one, he just runs and hides. Like it just scares him. I don't know why, but but anyway, I'm going to go over the chat here, see if we missed anything. Let's see. So yeah, Brian was asking about the Knoxbox Medico key, which is Torch replied that is secret, which is what that's the newest Medico I've got in my collection. Somebody gave me one of these things, and I started to make a video on it, but they gave me one of these, and it had the little cam in it, the Knox cam, and I've tried picking it, not been successful yet.
What platform is that?
You mean this part? No.
I mean, the other one, is it biaxial? Is it Duramax?
Honestly, I don't know enough about Medico to be able to tell you. I don't know if I can get that to focus. It's the Knox, like
looks like that. It looks like the biaxial logo on it.
Okay. See, I don't even know the logos for it.
So original wouldn't have anything on it. M3 would say M3, and then biaxial looks kind of like a sideways happy face.
Okay. Kind of like one reverse D shape and then a smaller one next to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay. That's what's on here.
okay,
So
so that sounds like it's a biaxial then.
okay. All right. Yeah, and it's stamped with Knox on the top of it. So
Yeah.
uh so yeah, one day I will manage to get it because every Medico in my collection I managed to get picked. Probably not today though. Uh but let's see. Let's see who else here. Yeah, Night Owl was talking about Knox has their own series of keyways and biaxial and M3. Um, James Randolph, to your comment about a cop running tag numbers to get women's contact info who married. Yeah. I actually busted another cop for doing that one time. So just know that we do police our own. Um
Good Lord, don't do that.
no. I mean, you don't want to meet people while you're on duty by doing that. Just trust me, it leads to nothing but trouble. I don't know how I know that. Anyway, you just yeah. Um, let's see. Let's look down through here. Let's see. Just looking through the chat here. See what else there is. Lock a lot, you're here. Butcher's Block. I think we've got a bunch of people here today. Tyler, you helped me turn out quite a bit of people here.
I'm gonna tell my wife I'm important.
There you go. There you go. That way she'll excuse you. Yeah, we're up to 25 people right now, which is I think more than I've ever had. But yeah, I mean that's pretty cool. So I've got a question. I just last Saturday took and passed my locksmith license test. And
Congratulations.
thank you. I appreciate it. Still haven't got the actual credentials in the mail, which here in North Carolina, you have to actually physically possess those before you can go out on a job. So hopefully they will come in the next week or so. They said it takes about 2 weeks. There were only 9 of us in the test, so hopefully it won't take that long. But anyway, what I wanted to ask is if something were to happen like Monday, you wake up on a Monday and you're starting from scratch in locksmithing, what would your first steps be? Like you had nothing more than just a very basic set of like hand tools and
but I know what I know now.
yeah.
So it without going into a specialty, you're the best thing to start out with is residential.
Okay.
Work that as much as you can, build up some sort of cash flow, some sort of buffer in the bank. And then from there, it's kind of whatever you want to do. You can do high-end residential, which is what there's a shop in town that's all they specialize in. They've got 4 or 5 trucks out on the road.
Cool.
This is fine. You could go into commercial. You could go into automotive, safe, whatever you wanted to do. But if I had to start from scratch tomorrow, and God, I hate that thought, but if I had to, it would definitely start out with residential and then take it from there.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, I've got stuff to do like residential rekeys and on the keyboard back there that's mostly Schlage and Quickset and some other like cabinet stuff. But yeah, like if you were I guess if like I said, if you had no machines, what would your first machine be? Or what would your first big investment be?
Probably a 1200, just because of how ubiquitous it is.
Okay.
If I had money, from like a rich father-in-law or something, I might get an ITL 950, something like that. But if I'm doing it on my own, I'm going to go with 1200.
Okay.
Just because my thought is that I'm going to be tackling residential first, maybe commercial after that, and hopefully I have enough money, stuff in the bank, where if I'm going automotive, high security, whatnot, I'm either investing into a dedicated machine or I'm getting to something that's a little bit more ubiquitous than a 1200. Not that anything's wrong with a 1200, but you go with like a 3D Pro, which would allow me to do residential, commercial, and automotive.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, from the little bit that I have learned about automotive, I have learned that I don't want to do automotive.
Yeah, that's it. You figured it out.
I mean, and just really, I mean, other than just doing like some, maybe like copying some older stuff, maybe other than that, maybe doing, an opening, learning how to open for an older vehicle. Cause I know, what is it you don't do, that you have to do like all kinds of certain things to open? Is it Mercedes or BMW? One of those, like if you don't do something in the correct order, you like brick the whole system or something like that.
Well, BMW can be pretty tricky, but the trick for those is going for the trunk. I tell you, the only one I've never been able to unlock was a Toyota, embarrassingly enough. I went up to you have to excuse me. Hush. We went up to I went up to Lexington for Lockmasters. Stella, stop. She's hungry. It's breakfast time. Hey. I went up to Lexington and I did all that stuff, and I came back, and the owner of the company that sent me up there at the time to learn, because we were thinking about getting into automotive, and he says, well, what do you think? And I said, yeah, let's not get into automotive. We'll keep doing the openings, but beyond that, good Lord, it seems like a lot.
Well, I mean, you have to invest in so much equipment too. I mean, your machines, your programmers, your blanks, all that stuff. You have to
code services.
Yeah. I mean, because you have to subscribe to something, for like an all keys lost situation, to where you can get the code from a VIN. And I know that costs what per instance, as well as like a regular subscription or something like that. So that's just like,
Jason just commented that it was a Highlander, and I think he's right.
I had a 95 4Runner, and I was well known for locking myself out. This was years ago when I had it. I had a spare key. I worked at the city police department and the county 911 center at the time. And my best friend had a key to my truck. Plus I had a key in both of my lockers at both of those places to my truck, and still managed to have to call for a Slim Jim one time to get into it. But
I just remember being so embarrassed. I mean, I was young and full of piss and vinegar. I was like 22, 23 at the time, and everything I came across, I was able to open, and I had to go to this job, and it was one of those CrossFit people, and they were all outside working out. So I had a big audience, and I mean, just nothing I could do. Long reach tool in the door, whatever it was, I could not get it. And I was like, ma'am, I can't help you. I'm sorry.
that's got to suck.
I was like, I'm not going to charge you, but I'm going with my tail tucked between my legs. I'm feeling embarrassed.
Well, that's like one time I was working one night, and one of our little community patrol officers was in he was assigned to just one area, and it was a very upscale neighborhood, a well-known golf courses there, and like several people from the Carolina Panthers, own houses there. Several other famous people own houses there, and the community had given us access to like a little guard shack from when they used to have security guards there, and just tiny. Well, he wound up locking himself out of this place one night, and he called me to come over and try to help. And this was about a year after I got into just lock sport, and it had just an old quickset knob on the front of it. That's all it had. And I tried for 45 minutes, and I could not get that thing open. And we wound up taking the air conditioner out of the back window and going in that way. So yeah, I was embarrassed about that, because I think I had picked, a bunch of challenge locks and some other stuff. Then I'm like, oh, this should be easy.
No. I remember when I was an apprentice, we had to unlock the back door of an ATM room so that the technician could get in there and service it. And the guy I was with at the time, the guy that taught me most of everything of what I know, was trying to pick it, could not pick it, blah, blah, blah. Well, it had a sort of a HVAC vent, kind of where your shins are.
Right.
That little louver or whatever. And I said, well, why can't we unscrew that and take it out? So we unscrewed it, and I crawled in there and I opened it up. And I asked the ATM guy, I was like, how much money is in here? He's like, yeah, about $250,000. I was like,
oh, wow.
You might want to do something more about this.
Yeah, put at least some, like security screws on there.
Yeah, right.
Shear head screws or something,
Yeah, but I still talk to that guy every day, and we're going to concerts this summer now that everything's opening back up, and I'm like, yeah, you remember the time that I got the best of you there? Thought to open that up.
So I guess, I know that it's not that big a part, but and maybe Jason, who's here in the chat, he could chime in too. But like for you and in your shop where you work, how big a volume is just simple, customer lockout, where they've locked themselves out and you got to go unlock it?
Never. I'll refer them to a few other guys in town.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I won't even bother with it. Not because it's beneath me, just because it would just detract from what we're normally doing in a day-to-day basis.
Gotcha.
I've got 2 or 3 guys in town that I know very well. I'll be happy to send them, the work. We got a job, or we got an offer for a job from Hewlett Packard, one of their big businesses up around here. They had some electrified Von Duprins that they needed to work on. Yeah, I'm licensed to do it, but I don't want to touch it. So I referred them to another guy in town. I just, it's one of those things where if you touch it, it belongs to you. Gotcha. And I don't want to deal with it long term.
Okay.
So I referred it and said, listen, we don't do it. I mean, technically we could do it, but we're not going to. Okay. I don't want to bother with it. I'd rather send it to somebody else that does that.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, because you focus more on just the installs and maintenance and
yeah, we're keys and cylinders. That's all we really want to deal with. And for some of our bigger customers, we'll go a little bit extra for locks and simplexes, stuff like that, mortise lock conversions. But
right.
Anything else more than that, especially electrified, I don't want to deal with, because once you touch it, you own it.
Gotcha. Yeah, here in North Carolina is actually interesting. the locksmith is responsible for whatever is attached to the door or the frame, but anything beyond where those wires connect to the device, anything back along those wires, you have to have your low voltage electrician's license for it. Um, and I'm not willing to go get that. That's not my thing. That was my dad's thing. He did that for years, but doing alarm installs, but that's not me. So, but yeah.
You know, the thing, in Georgia, it's a low voltage license is an open book test, but the problem is that there's 5 books and they're all about that big. So you've only got like an hour and a half or whatnot. The trick is knowing where to find it in the book, and that's kind of, I did a prep class, and that's kind of where they taught you. They're like, you got to look and here for it.
Gotcha.
But I did pretty good with it. I mean, I got a 96 out of 100, so I'm happy. But I don't tell anybody that I have a license.
Yeah, they could open up more work.
Yeah.
And more work for the same amount of pay is never a good thing.
No, not at all. I don't know anything about wiring.
Let's see. Jason says that he will do unlocks, but if he has time, but only like between 11 and 4, not on Saturdays. And some local ones when he leaves, if they can wait. So yeah, I mean, and I was just wondering because, I don't have any local locksmiths to really talk to. The last one around here that I went and talked to before I took my test, he's an older guy. He's been doing it for like, I think he said like 50 years. He's 82, and I think he said he's been doing it for like 60 years.
Jesus.
Yeah. And we were talking just kind of about random stuff, and he said, well, he said, I don't know if I can tell you. He said, that's a pretty big secret. And he said, well, it's not that big of a secret. He said, but what we'll do is we'll put a blind code and stamp it on the hinge of the door so we know what the lock's keyed to. And I'm like, so if he's treating that as a trade secret, it's like, okay, you're not going to tell me your pricing. You're not going to tell me, your call volume for certain calls, stuff like that. So that's kind of where I'm starting from, either starting from scratch just to do it on the side, or, looking to go work for another shop that's at least hiring some people, but isn't.
Well, another thing too, going back to unlock, is that for an automotive unlock is a lot of times people, when they're locked out of their car, they'll call 3 or 4 people at a time, and whichever one gets there gets the job. Right. So you run into that risk where if you're running automotive lockouts, you might get there and then somebody else is already locking it up. Well, you spent time on gas and running out there and all of that.
Right.
So and then people have AAA, which subcontracts it. So it's kind of I don't know. It's not a good predicament to be in. I mean, I guess when you're starting out, sure, where you're happy to get any sort of work, but once you get like me or Jason or whatnot, and you're just kind of like, we'll take it when we can, but
right. Well,
don't want to go for it.
I mean, I remember Jason describing it one time. I don't know if it was in one of his videos or on Twitter, but he described it as somebody ordering pizza from, 3 different places, and whoever delivers it first is the one that the people pay.
Exactly. That's it.
Yeah, and so that's another reason why. I mean, I'm not even starting out. I'm not considering automotive stuff because I don't have the tools for it. Residential unlock, sure. I just to get the business and be able to get out there and get it. Residential unlocks, because probably about 80% of everything around here is quick set. And it's easy enough, like, for even the smart key, if you can't pick it, you drill it.
Yeah.
but it's easy enough to replace. But just to get the, just to get the business a little bit, that's sort of my deal. But yeah, automotive.
I'll tell you 2 stories real quick. Number one, as far as residential, Schlage, Kwikset, whatever it may be, worst case, if you don't have the inventory on hand, you can always go to Lowe's or Home Depot. They've got it there. And then number 2, when Kwikset first came out, and I've told the story a few times, but I'm going to tell it again because why not? I got called to a condo, and the owner was out of town, and they had something in their condo leaking, and the person below them was the one that was the interface for the job. And I saw it was a Kwikset, and I said, I'm not going to be able to pick this, and I don't want to drill it because I don't know if I have a replacement on hand. I don't know what their key might be. I didn't want to drill it. So I had the customer's phone number, and I said, can you send me a picture of your key? They sent me a picture of their key. I was able to decode it, cut a key, a working key, put it in there, turned it, got them in. I said, can I leave it with your neighbor? And they're like, fine. And I was like, great.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah. I mean, for the Kwikset, even, the smart key, if they can send you a picture of it to decode it, if you're in a situation like that, that would be pretty awesome to do, actually.
Yeah, just 6 steps. I figured out pretty good. I got it on the first time, but it was like, I can't pick it. I don't want to drill it. You got a picture? Send it to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's like I've made copies of keys for a few people, and they've had Quiksets, and like, can you make me a copy of that? I'll take my phone, set it down, take a picture of it, say, yep. And they're like, well, don't you need to take it with you? Nope. Come back the next day, here's your key. And they're like, how did you do that? I don't know, I guess. But
I've always wanted to go, like, they send me a picture of the key or whatnot beforehand on a job for a lockout, and I take like 2 or 3 keys with my hand and shake them and throw them on the ground, pick up the right one, and said, this is it. Open the door.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Welcome to locksmithing.
Yeah. That's the kind of like Swami-ish part of locksmithing, I guess. Let's see. Let's look at the chat here. See if anybody's got any questions. Before we wind up here, we got just a couple minutes left, but I want to see if anybody there in the chat has any questions. I appreciate everybody showing up. Again, this is like the most viewers that I have had.
I'm famous.
Yeah. I dropped your name, Tyler, and they all showed up. That's why you made me nervous when you joined in at the last second. And I'm like, oh, okay, finally. But I appreciate it. I really do. This has been fun, and I always learn stuff talking to other people doing this, and just starting out like this. Of course, I'm going to keep my day job for a while anyway, but just starting out is always good to be able to talk to people and like you and Night Owl and Jeff, and Jason, y'all just given so much information, and I learned a lot by just watching and listening, and whether it's following along in the chat and asking a stupid question every now and again, hey, I pick up and I learn something from it. So hopefully one day this will be able to help somebody else in the shoes that I'm in right now. So, again, I really appreciate it. But
yesterday I couldn't even spell locksmith. Now I are one.
Yep, that's it. I is one now. But yeah, I mean, let's see. We'll give one final call for any questions from the audience, and then start to wind up because Jason goes live about an hour after I get done, so that gives everybody a good break and can get whatever done they need to get done. But yeah, I do appreciate it. And now if your shop decides to like throw away a 1200 blitz, let me send you my address. In fact, I might even rent a car and come pick it up just to save on shipping. Uh, but let's see. Um, Alrighty. All right. Well, I don't see any questions coming up from the audience. Night Owl has ordered his pancakes, so I guess that's the time to to finish up. But everybody, I did not get a chance to name and say hello to everybody in the chat like I normally do because we've had such a big turnout. But Tyler, again, I really appreciate you coming and doing this. And
yeah, brother.
If you want to in the future, we can do it again. I would love to. This is something I kind of like. I kind of like doing this because it might help other people, and it's fun, you know. And it gives you an excuse to have a good beverage before like noon on a Saturday.
Hey.
I mean, not that you really have to have an excuse for that, but you know, if you feel like you do, then there you go. But Tyler,
Cheers.
I appreciate I do appreciate it. Everybody in the audience, I appreciate you all. You know, everybody's showing up and everything. So, you know, again, thank you, Tyler, for all the information. And I guess we're going to go ahead and start signing off now.
Take care, everybody.
All righty, folks. Y'all have a great week. Have a great rest of your weekend. Next week will be Dark Arts Lockpicking, who will be here with me.
Hey, I know him.
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
He is. He is a real good guy. He's getting ready to get into this too. So, you know, he's starting out down under. But anyway, thank you all. Appreciate it. Y'all have a great week. Stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy, and stay out of trouble. And we'll see you next time. Let's see if I can do the sign off again where I like stop mid sentence. I don't know how to do that with Zoom, but I'm going to try. There we go.